And a great, great good evening to all of you joining us this evening from the loyal opposition. Good evening to every single one of you. Good evening to all of you joining us from the diaspora in the different parts of the world. We see you coming in from Canada, from the United States, from the United Kingdom. A real pleasure to have you all with us this evening. And we're looking forward to a great show. We have a lot of things in store for you tonight, but we're going to start off, with just welcoming all of you. And of course, we are not going to begin the evening without our national anthem and without our national flag and without that pledge of allegiance to our country, Barbados. So permit me to welcome each one of you that is joining us this evening, Cecilia Miller. And let me say, what a pleasure it is for me to actually meet you and put the name and the face together. A real pleasure to do that. All of you that have turned up to the roadside parliament yesterday, and thank you for making that the success that it was. We really do appreciate it. And the march, and I keep saying that we are maybe small in number, but the iceberg just shows a tenth above the surface and 9/10 below. So don't underestimate, excuse me, the numbers that you see. So great to have all of you. Angel Humble, Cecilia Miller, CG, Junie Rock. Oh, goodness gracious me. Wonderful Vernon Garns and FX Trading BB. Great to see you this evening as well. Marcia, it was great to meet you yesterday. And thank you so much for keeping me on my toes with that national anthem. Ryan Rock, good evening to you as well. Yes, we are looking forward to an informative show. And I have a few things to share with you. Diana Husbands, great to have you with us again, born again. And Monica Ince, God bless you. Good to have you with us. Mystic Angel, Victoria's Queen, good evening to you. Sean Yard and Sandra Franklin. Oh, you faithful, loyal opposition. Nigel Carrington, Judy Jilts. Sir Alfred, good to have you back with us again this evening, locked on from Brooklyn, New York. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. And Esther Blue, good evening to you as well. Callie B, good evening to the loyal opposition. Bonnie Springer, Cynthia Thorpe, Llewellyn Eiffel, great to have all of you joining. We're up to 220. And, I kind of hold to start moving toward 500 before I get into the national anthem, but I'm going to be touching on a number of things in the little segment that I have at the beginning. And then, of course, we're going to have our general joining us, Mr. Caswell Franklin. We hope to have Rose Corbin on to complete what that informative and powerful session she began to share yesterday. We hope that she will be on. Good evening to you, Rose Green, coming in from Canada. And I hope you guys can turn things around there in Canada. Tuning in from London, Bajan Brit, good evening to you. And from Philadelphia, Owen Hines, wonderful to have you with us again tonight. Some things that I heard a couple of ministers of government, I'm not even going to call their names, but a couple of ministers of government. For the whole day, you know what the phrase that's been going through my mind? These people just don't get it. These people just don't get it. And I'll come back and explain to you why I am saying that. But good evening to you, Anika Hope, Angela Jackman. Great to have you with us. Looking forward to a great, great time. And your comments, they're here in our chat. We appreciate so much hearing from you and seeing your comments and meeting you at the roadside parliament. Yes, Emerson Bab, you are in the UK as well. Well, good evening. Well, let me see. I don't know if I should say good evening. You're what, 5 hours ahead of us, I think. So it really is like a real good night to you, Emerson. And thank you. Oh my goodness. I mean, to tune in. What is this? It's what, 11, 12 o'clock there in UK, and you're on. Well, thank you, Emerson. God bless you. Really appreciate your support. Thelma Yearwood from New York. Wow, lovely to have you with us as well. Clive Osborne, Bage and Britt. I see you're wishing Callie B a safe flight. I tell you, Bage and Britt, I agree with you. As a matter of fact, Bage and Britt, I don't let anybody that I know of, my family or anyone that I am familiar with or, in relationship with, friends and so on, I don't let them travel until I pray very seriously for them, because the number of things that we are seeing happening on flights, with Boeing and different issues occurring. We saw a JetBlue tilt over on its back a few months ago. I think it was in New York. We have passengers that are losing it in the flights, and I tell you, you really do need to pray when you get on board those things, because as a little joke I heard on Sir Garfield Sobers, Gary was making the statement, there's nowhere up there to pull over. Nowhere up there to pull over. Something goes wrong up there, my friend, it's all downward spiral. So we really we really don't take it for granted. I certainly don't. Every one of my children, the moment they get on a flight, we pray with them before they step on board the flight. We pray with them when they are boarding to return home. And we are always giving God thanks when that plane touches down and we see them. We are always very, very seriously. I don't know what everybody's view is on it, but I'm going to tell you, I don't let them and anyone I know get on a flight unless I really commit them into the hands of the Lord and pray for his angels to look after them. That's what the Bible tells me, that the Lord gives his angels charge over us to keep us in all of our ways. And I believe that. And so we really make sure that we cover our family and our friends in prayers. Yes. Okay, Judy. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Flojo Maloney, good to have you with us tonight as well. We're up to 365 and moving quickly toward that magic number that, I'm going to have. Marcia is going to make sure that she keeps me on my toes with that national anthem and our national pledge. And of course, you will see a bit of the flag right here behind me. This is our national flag. I keep it here all the time. It's in everything I share on YouTube, Facebook. That flag is behind me. I'm very proud of my flag. I'm very proud of my country. And I thank God for, who I am. I thank God that I'm birthed in Barbados. And I'm deeply appreciative for my country and for all the people that make it what it is. And let me make it clear. The government does not make Barbados what it is. The people do. It's the people. That's why you hear in the national anthem the continuous reference to people and no reference to government. Okay. And that's what I am happy with. So we are so great. We are so grateful. Yes, we are so grateful tonight for these great opportunities, to represent our country. And I do so proudly wherever I am, wherever I minister, wherever I speak, wherever I journey. I make it abundantly clear. I am from Barbados. I'm proud of my Barbados passport. And I'm very thankful to be a Barbadian. I'd be born in any other part of the world, but I'm grateful to have been born in Barbados. And that's why we maintain the fight that we maintain. I was in the supermarket today and I ran into a former high-ranking official of the Barbados Labour Party. And he said to me, I had to leave. I had to leave because of all the madness that is going on. And, he is so disappointed in what the Labour Party has become. And as I am as well. And I must tell you, I encounter a number of the hierarchy, the former hierarchy of the party who are no longer affiliated or associated with it and who watch this show. And I want to thank all of them, whether they respond here or not. I want to thank all of you that watch the show, even if you do not comment. And I appreciate your encouraging words. Every one of them tells me to keep at it, keep up the good work. You guys are doing a great work. And yes, Queen B, like and share, please, especially on YouTube. Give us that thumbs up. Let me make sure I give my thumbs up on my YouTube. Give us that thumbs up. Let's see if we can get up to 500 or over 500 during the show. All right. So Taiwan, great to have you. Lena Bell, great to have you as well. Kingman. Kingman, it reminds me of the movie The Kingsman. David Boyne, great to have you as well. Pauline Maynard, BIM is my home. Yes, it is. Great to have you with us tonight. Esther Blue, Mashio. I hope I have it right and I'm not mashing up your name, but forgive me if I do. Good night to you as well. Really good to have you. Rochelle Thornhill. Great to have all of you with us this evening. And we're looking forward, like I said, to a great show. Good evening to you, Tony. Welcome. Great to have you with us as well. And we are looking forward to a great time. We're going to be getting some real great input tonight from Rose Corbin and from Caswell Franklin and from Kemar Stewart. And, I'll put in my little bits and pieces here, there, and as we go through the night. But we're going to be hearing probably a bit more from Caswell tonight. And Rose is going to be just doing a quick review of what she shared with us last night that she can complete. An awesome presentation. And, last night was tremendous. We had a few special guests, Reverend Joseph Atherley, tremendous speech. I'm going to go back on the YouTube and listen to his speech. It was absolutely awesome. And regrettably, Lynette was unable to make it. She wasn't well. But, we had Reverend Joseph Atherley sharing, and Kemar also shared, as did Lumumba Ras Eili. I think it was. Let me make sure I get the names right, because I don't want to upset anyone without, for not getting things right. Rasimba, and Mr. Victor Lewis, great presentations last night. My goodness. And Rose equally. And then, of course, we had a special guest in Mr. Richard Seeley, former minister. I believe he was former minister of tourism. I believe it was, and I do stand to be corrected. But he gave a tremendous speech at the end as well. And we were grateful for the encouragement that he has given to this movement. This is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's a movement. It's not about a party or a political party, or even it is about politics, but it's not partisan. It's a political movement. It's a movement of the people of Barbados. And let me tell you something with a movement. If you don't get on board with it and you get in the way, it's going to roll over you. And the government had better become aware of the fact that this is a movement. Thank you so much, Tyrone, for reminding me. I do appreciate that. And so, we are thankful and we're grateful to be able to stand up for the rights of our citizens and in our country. And I want to make a distinction between what is partisan and what is political. Partisan is when you're dealing with a political party, like when the CCP met with the BLP at their Robert Street branch, at their Robert Street head office. That was partisan. That's not political. When they meet with the government, when the CCC meets with the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, CCP meets with the government, that's political. When the government meets with the IMF, that's political. That's supposed to be in the interest of the country. But when you're dealing with organizations and government and countries and political parties that are meeting with other political parties, that's partisan. And what it appears to me that political parties have not understood down through the years in Barbados is that you are not elected to represent your political party. You are elected to represent the people of Barbados. Yes, Marcia, we're up to 494. So it's time for me to shut my mouth and make sure that we get our national anthem. So I'm just going to locate it, make sure I get it up here, and get ready for the national anthem of Barbados. Ladies and gentlemen, let's stand together and let us hear our national anthem.
Of
Ah, yes, yes, yes. Strict guardians of our heritage, firm craftsmen of our faith. I'm so grateful for my national anthem, and I want to encourage you to just repeat together with me our national pledge. I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados, and to my flag, to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living, to do credit to my nation wherever I go. Thank God, hallelujah, for our national symbols, our national anthem, our national pledge that we have. And we are certainly proud to be Barbadians. Let me welcome you, Jude Lawrence, Jack Murphy, Taroni Hall, Rolliston Broom. Great to have you, Kingman. Thank you so very much for your contribution. And thank you all for your contributions last night and at the end of the march. And I agree with you. We're going to march until we drop. We will not be silenced. We are not afraid. And those are our two mottos. Dalton Spencer, great to have you. Jefferson Sobers, Romeo Hinkson, really great to have you as well. Thank you all so very much for being a part of this tremendous movement for the saving of our country, the correction. You know, when a flight is destined for a particular destination and it veers off for whatever reason, a good pilot corrects, does what we call course correct, or even the autopilot, I think it is these days because the technology is so advanced, you know, but the autopilot or the pilot will do a course correction to ensure that they get back on track. And if there's one thing we need in this country today is a course correction. And I make no apologies when I say certain things, not only on this platform, but publicly. Now, I happen to have heard two ministers of government make some comments, and I want to address the two comments individually. One comment came from one minister who was speaking concerning the cost of the Kensington Oval. I sat in that Oval on Saturday afternoon, and I do not see $50 million in that Oval. And I don't care what you say you have put in. You need to give the people of Barbados an audited financial account of how the money was spent. How much was spent on the toilets you're talking about that were refurbished? And there is no elevator in this Hewitt in a stand, or everybody has to walk up 7 flights of stairs to get up to their seats. Why didn't you put an elevator? Where's your thinking, man? Come on, get off your butt and get your job done. So don't talk nonsense to us about the things you have done. You owe the people an explanation of the costings. Don't tell me you put up a building, you put up this, you did it. I want to know, how much did it cost to refurbish the pitch? How much did it cost for the toilets? How much did it cost for the stand? Which we don't seem to know that if it's going to be temporary or permanent, because some people are telling me it's permanent, and I don't mean some people who don't know the know. I'm talking about people in the know. Some people are telling me it's permanent, and some people in the know are telling me it's temporary. So we want to know the cost, and you are obligated. You know, we're dealing with a government that seems to think that it doesn't have a responsibility to give the people of Barbados an account. You do. We employ you, and we give you the public purse to use for different purposes for the well-being of this country, the development and advancement of this country. Don't you dare get an attitude when the people of Barbados ask you to account for what you are doing with their money. It's not yours. It's the people of Barbados's financial resources, the taxes that you drain out of the pockets of the people of Barbados that you are using. So don't come to us with nonsense. We need to know exactly, and I want to know, and I know all of you want to know, and I know Barbados wants to know clearly what was spent and where. Did you spend $105,000 to put in toilets? I can tell you this. If you spend $50 million, and I was supposed to look it up, and I'm going to ask somebody on this platform to look up for me and see how much money was spent on the construction of the stadium in New York for cricket. Just do that for me, please, so that I can compare it to what is happening here in this country. All right. So if somebody can do that for me, I'm going to ask you all to engage that for me. All right. So I want to know that, because I want to compare and see what the expenditure, 50 million, I think it was Barbados dollars, and I think it was 50 million Barbados dollars. That's 25 million US. It was spent, and you are required to give the people of Barbados an account. If you borrowed the money, you're borrowing it in the name of Barbados, not in the name of Mia Motley or the Barbados Labour Party or any other minister. It's in the name of Barbados. And so don't come to us telling us foolishness about, what we've done. We put up a building here. I want to know how much the building costs. I want to know how much the elevators cost. I want to know how much the tents or whatever it is you refurbish at Oistins. I want to know what they cost. I don't want to know, we spent 5 million at Oistins and we modified the jetty, and I don't want to know. I want to know how much the jetty cost. I want to know how much the structures cost. I want to know that is what you are supposed to do. Any basic businessman knows that. Basic, man. That's basic. So don't get an attitude when we ask you to give an account for how you're spending the money. And very quickly, let me move on. I heard a comment about the child protection bill and the cybercrime bill, and I couldn't believe the let me be polite. I need to be polite. I couldn't believe the inaccuracy. Let me be polite. Inaccuracy of the statement where they were talking about how we are opposing a child protection bill when it's being raised to protect the child. That's not what we are raising. We are raising the fact that contained within the content of that bill are clauses that will remove the rights of parents over children. It's in the bill, and we want it out. When it comes to the cybercrime bill, they're talking about how we are against something to prevent nude pictures of our youth and young people. No, we're not. We are against the fact that you want to fine the average Barbadian $70,000 or 7 years in jail for saying something that hurts somebody's feelings. And I don't have the time, because I can see Miss Corbyn is in the room, and we want to bring her in as quickly as possible, so she has her full time to be able to share. But let me be clear, we are not foolish in this country. One of the things that Arabara did was to give Barbados a great educational system. So we have 280,000 intelligent, sensible people, even those who support you. They are still intelligent, sensible Barbadians. And we stand by that. All right. So somebody's telling me that they see the cost. Edwin, if that's the cost you're saying in New York of 30 million US dollars, and I think there's a stadium. I believe I am right that it's a stadium that came up from ground zero, if you can call it that, from scratch. And 30 million US, if that was the cost for the stadium, and we are spending 25 million US dollars refurbishing one that already exists. This thing should look like a palace. So please don't come to me with foolishness. Don't come to the people, the loyal, the coalition of the righteous, with nonsense. Please tell them to stop this rubbish. And that's why I said these people just don't get it. They just don't get it. All right. Those are my opening remarks. And I am thankful to have all of you with us tonight. And I am particularly happy to have joining me at this time the Right Honorable Rose Corbyn. And I, Rose, you're going to have to unmute your mic. Okay. Just unmute your microphone. I see you have on a lovely set. I can see some little red, if you look at mine too, you can see a little red in mine as well. Okay, so I have a little red, and if I could find a little yellow, I would put a little yellow too, and I would add a little orange to it as well. But so good to have you with us tonight, Rose. You shared a tremendous presentation last night at the roadside parliament, and we wanted to hear the conclusion of it. And so we are so happy to have you joining us tonight. They're putting in the chat, Rose, that from scratch, and because I don't know that New York had a stadium to host cricket. I don't know that they did. I stand to be corrected, but I was not aware of the fact that New York had a stadium. And so I am concluding that this stadium that international, the ICC 2020 World Cup is being played in, is a brand new stadium coming up from scratch. And it cost them 30 million US dollars. And we are being told by our government that the refurbishment of Kensington costs 25 million US. And I'm saying that if America spent 30 million US on their stadium, and we already had a stadium in place which looked really lovely already, and we spent 25 million US, we should have something like Las Vegas. We should have something of that you don't even have to ask a question about where the money has gone. But that's not what I see. I know, Rose, that's probably not what your focus is this evening, so I do not want to distract you, because I know the loyal opposition is waiting to hear from you. So I'm going to get out of the way and let you proceed. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Rose to the microphone this evening. Good evening, Rose. Pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Reverend Ferd. It's always a pleasure to be in your company. And don't go too far. I need you. Last night I was asking you and Caswell, for some of your boldness and some of your platform demeanor and your natural way of doing it. And thanks for the support last night from you and from those who were present.
Oh, yes.
Thank you for your prayerful support. I received some messages that persons are offering their prayer for our protection, my protection, as we venture into these waters which seem to have stirred up and become stormy for those who don't like to hear the truth, or who don't like, as Kmart would say, alternate views.
We're getting a little noise from your, and I believe it might be your fan blowing across the microphone. Might be. I don't know. It stopped now. I'm not hearing it now.
It sounds like a fan.
It sounds like wind. It sounds like wind.
I was listening to it. But I want to say thank you, loyal sons and daughters, all firm craftsmen of her faith, and Reverend Ferdy. We did not compare notes, but somehow I was led to do a little bit research. Since I spoke last night about still looking for the 5 million at Oistins, I went a step further and I did some research on the overall cost for Kensington. And I would like ourselves to be aware, and I include myself in there, that when they say that it is a loan, and we have borrowed and received 25 million US dollars for the Kensington Oval from the African Export-Import Bank. The impression out there is that, it's a partnership, it's a friendship that our African brothers on the African continent care so much about Barbados and want to cross, to link ties with us and strengthen the relationship. Hence, they have been generous in coming to our assistance. Well, as we say here in Barbados, really and truly, we are paying back that loan of 25 million US, according to my research.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt you, Rose. Sorry to interrupt you, Rose. We're still getting that noise like a breeze. It's like a wind blowing across your mic. I don't know if there's anything, or you're near a window that the wind
may be the fan.
Yeah, it would be the fan if it's blowing toward
where
the
I
microphone.
live. You know where I live.
Yeah, I know you. If you open the window, it will be louder. I know.
Yes. Is it better now?
Yes,
You still
yes.
hear me?
It's you're little
Yeah.
you're little low too, but I believe it might be the internet. It could
Is
be.
it better?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. So I am educating ourselves that that is a loan of 7% interest rate for over a period of 7 years. And quoting from the chairman of the committee, the chairman Noel Lynch of the National Organizing Committee for the Men's T20 Cricket World Cup. He noted that, and they have been very optimistic, that we stand to earn $110 million from the events. Now, he said it, and as you started out, Reverend Ferdy, we should ask at the end of all this, show us that $110 million, that the investment of 25 million US dollars paid back at a 7% interest rate over the 7 year periods, over 7 years, that we want to see the the investment, the results, the tangible results of that investment. According to him, that would be, we stand to earn 110 million from the event. However, my research also shows that the realities based on the 2007 and 2010 events, that is really um, far-fetched, far-fetched returns, exorbitant in thinking. He also said that from that investment towards the World Cup, according to the press, and I've seen it several places, he's made a commitment that the government of Barbados has made a commitment to ensure that small business owners benefit from the event. How? Benefit from the event. How? And these are things, Reverend Ferdy, that we need to ask. Show us. In this enlightened age, without the proposed educational reform, we are still enlightened, intelligent, and informed. Please, at the end of all of this, just that you had the fanfare and the public, the press, and you know, the public, drawn the public's attention, please, at the end, do a press conference, call everybody and have a debriefing and a review, and let us know how much actually was spent and how much has been gained from the small businesses, right up to the $110 million that we should expect from such expenditure.
But
Yes,
Rose,
Reverend.
if I can interrupt you a minute, you said that he said we expect to earn $110 million. Now
Yes, in
I am
return.
reading that. To me, if we are going to earn it, that is net. In other words, after all expenses, because if you earn, it means you paid out your expenses, you've covered whatever expenses you've had, and we're talking profit, $110 million profit. And I also would want to know, if that is so, why would we need then at the end to continue to pay a $25 million loan over 7 years? Why can't we just clear the loan? Because we have made 4 times the profit over the loan. I don't know if I'm reading it correctly. If I'm not, you can please correct me.
That is why I need your company, to bring that kind of analysis. And clearly, Mark could address it even better
Mhm.
than we attempt to. But this is what my research has shown. This is what my research has shown. And before I move on quickly, I want also to speak about that $5 million. Now, this isn't the $7,500 check that was swept away. As we are histrionic, we are creating noise over something that doesn't exist. And I'll come to talk about things that don't exist. And this is $7 million now. And I again did my research to find out what that was intended to do. And again, another consultant. Now we have they brought in the ambassador Lynch. They brought in a former ambassador from Miami who was supposed to be the Lord Mayor of Bridgetown for the World Cup. Uh, and people are complaining that nothing has happened in Bridgetown. And beyond getting the homeless off the streets and putting them to clean up, and beyond paving the road from Kensington up to uh, Parliament buildings. Um, they brought in another consultant
Oh dear, another
attached to
consultant.
the Barbados Tourism Investment Inc., Array Moore. And this consultant said that the refurbishment of Oistins covers existing kiosks. And we have seen what happened with the kiosks. I was really looking for more aesthetic, architectural improvement. Something, as someone told me this morning, something more permanent, something more hurricane resistant. Our Prime Minister talks about um, hurricane resilience, building for hurricane resilience. Pray tell me, those flimsy right tents that we see, are they hurricane resistant? I was looking, say, for the structure to have more aesthetic appeal, like, wooden frames from Green Heart, and a more, say, corrugated roof, as something more permanent. I hope they know, and I keep saying it. I have come from the Oistin Gall Hill area. I was raised from a baby in that area until I moved to Church Village, St. Philip, at an older age. And I hope we remember that in the 1955 storm, hurricane, sorry, that side of the island was devastated and hit the hardest with property loss and lives lost. And here we have a PM who goes around the world talking about uh, getting funds for small island developing states that are prone to the destruction by hurricanes. And you have gone right on a beachfront area on the south coast and say you're refurbishing a fishing village. And instead of doing something that is more permanent and more structurally sound, you have replaced them with flimsy red tents. So they said that the consultant with the Barbados Tourism Investment Inc., Array Moore, said that the refurbishment covers existing kiosk bathrooms, replacing deteriorated elements, power washing, painting, improving the stage area, erecting large TV screens, conducting a new gazebo, more bathroom, and more than 100 persons gained employment. This is what we are told, audience, that $7 million, uh, $5 million, sorry, um, the the chairman of the committee, Noah Lane, says it's about $4.7 million. We're hearing $5 million. We don't know who to believe. 5 million, 4.5, but it's a lot of money for what we have received. And so we have to ask, what are we getting? What the ordinary, that's what Senator uh, Chantel Monroe Knight said, that they have done it for the ordinary people. They have done it with a loan that we have received from the African Export Import Bank of 25 million US dollars at an interest rate of 7% over a 7-year period. I want to reinforce this. And they are saying they have done it. That is what she said, we have done it for you. Actually, we have done it for ourselves through that loan, which we have to pay back, and we don't see what has been spent. And it is only fair that we ask. Now, I am going to just transition and ask the audience to stay with me and connect, and I will bring my presentation to a close. You are familiar, Reverend Ferdy, with the story we would have. I don't know if the younger ones who are listening are familiar. The story of the Emperor's New Coat. You remember that?
Yes,
The
yes,
story
yes, I
of
do.
the Emperor's.
As a child, I laughed myself to death with this story.
Yes, I am going to
Oh, Johnny.
engage in a storytelling role. And I want you, Reverend Ferdy, and I want the audience to affix persons in Barbados, in the government, within, characterize them based on the characters in the story. So here we go. The Emperor's New Coat, sewn with invisible thread using invisible fabric. The story goes that there was once a vain emperor who liked to dress up every time he came out in the public. He always wanted new clothes from the public's purse. And so, two pretend weavers,
Yeah, pretend.
came to him and they said, we can make you. They called, some places call them two fellows. I had the pictures up here. Some persons call them, stories call them two fellows. Other stories call them two swindlers. Not my term. Do your Googling and see that they're called two swindlers. Who are the swindlers in our context here in Barbados? Are they consultants? Are they consultants? Are they persons who advise the people, the emperor, and pardon me, should I say the empress? The emperor on the new clothes. Anyhow, these two men came to town and convinced the emperor that they could make an outfit never seen before, the most beautiful outfit And they went about the emperor. They appealed to the pride and the vanity of the emperor. And he said, why not? They measured him and they took the measurements. They agreed on the design of the outfit, and off they went to sew. A time went by and the emperor started to get a little bit anxious. He wanted to see what the garment was like, but he didn't go. He said, I don't want to look like if I'm intruding. I'm going to send my chief minister. And so he sent his chief minister. Who may that chief minister be? Could it be the deputy prime minister? But we know how she fumbled with when she was Minister of Education. We know how she fumbled when she was head of directing COVID, the period with COVID. But could be the chief official be the deputy prime minister? Could the chief official be the AG? But then again, this is the same person who tells us all is well with crime. This is the same person who came out and said, oh, our cybercrime bill is the best in the world. The best, better than Guyana, one of the best, better than Guyana's, best, better than the other islands. Could the chief minister sent to see the progress of the government be the AG? Could it be the Minister of Health who is in the Senate? And we see the health service, the primary health care facility non-functioning, problem after problem. And I wish the new CEO all the best, God's blessing, because a healthy primary care facility QEH would put her minds at rest. But could the chief official sent to see the progress of the suit be the Minister of Health? Could that chief official be the Minister of Education? And we know the blunders and the fumbling with education reform. We know the fallout from that. They've got to put that on hold. We know the issues with the IDB survey. We know the issues with the fiasco with the drill at Springer. We know the issues with the sick building. The latest was the Lester Vaughan. The emperor sent that person. The emperor sent that person. However, that person went down, whoever it may be, from with the title of chief minister, chief official, went down, saw nothing happening, saw no suit, but saw two swindlers and two persons sewing with invisible thread, invisible fabric, and said to himself, I'm seeing nothing. I don't see anything. But I can't go back and tell the emperor I see nothing. No, I can't. I will go back and say it's coming along nicely. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful suit. Because of fear, because of losing position, because of probably losing the neck, the head. So it was fine. They went back, and they told the emperor is coming along nicely. The emperor sent a few others from his cabinet. And they came back and said, all is well. Could it be the Minister of Housing? alliance with the Hope Project, and I made a note, the Hope Project, which is under a government owned and funded venture, Hope Inc., and Hope stands for Hope Ownership, providing energy. And they were supposed to build 100 and what's it? 165 houses. Let me put on my glasses a minute to read this, folks. Oh, over 700 energy efficient, hurricane resilient houses fitted with photovoltaic systems owned by government and built by government over the next 12 months. That was at the launch, the Prime Minister said on the 27th of March 2021. Where are the 700 houses? These houses were to be at Lancaster, the Pool, Todd's Land, both in St. John, and Colleton in St. Lucie. We do know that some of those houses were sewn with invisible thread and fabric. And thanks to Kimar, we were able to see the kind of houses built at Pool, but was one of the officials sent down to the room to see the court sewn, the Minister of Housing here. Was it? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's the Minister of Labor. He talks a lot. And he may have gone down to see what was going on. But whoever was sent from the emperor's cabinet came back with the news that it was well done. It was beautiful. Then came the day of disclosure. And the swindlers, the two gentlemen, the two professional weavers, came holding the invisible suit with the boots and the hats and all the decorations. Asked the emperor to strip naked. He stripped naked, and they proceeded to dress him. He was ready for this play. And the story goes that behind him was an entourage from his courts, his ministers. His ministers. I wonder if one of them that was sent, I forgot her, was a Sherpa. You know who's a Sherpa? The deputy in the upper house, who is supposed to do a lot of heavy lifting. We got that from the emperor's mouth. I wonder if what was a Sherpa who went down and said, it looks good, or the leader of business in the Senate. You know her, that it's always protesting along with the Minister of Culture, who is in Oistins saying a job well done, let the thorns and roses axe. And all of them, the story goes that the court came out, all of them, and each of them held a piece of the train, the invisible train. Is that not what is happening in Barbados? That persons in the lower house, with the exception of, God bless her, Sonia Brown, MP Sonia Brown, and now the leader of opposition, all the other 27, all the other 27 are trying to convince us that a garment sewn with a non-existent garment sewn with non-existent thread, we must accept. And so we must accept. Oh, I forgot the one who led the commission, the review commission on the cybercrime bill. You remember him? Oh, it's wonderful. the arrogance, the put down of persons who came and questioned who appeared before the commission, the committee, the review committee. Our cybercrime bill was the best. They see no reason for the protests. Could it be that one of the persons who held the invisible train was the one who cheered the child protection bill, review of the child protection bill, the one who is straddling and neglecting the labor force that they should represent? Could that person be one who said the garment looks good? That's what happening. The garment is the Barbados socio-economic political landscape, but we are told that it looks good. The garment looks good, accept it. And so the emperor, coming to the end, the emperor went through the street and the whole court and the whole court went out, and in the crowd were loyalists, his loyal supporter, those who would cheered on, those who would say, emperor, you're the best. And in the crowd there were those wearing red and saying, good job, we love our emperor, the emperor looks good. That was the norm until this one day. And out the emperor came with the train being held up, invisible train, exposed, naked. And there was a hushed silence. Nobody dared to say anything. Nobody dared to say, where has our money gone? Until a little boy in the crowd said, he has nothing on, Pastor Ferdy. He has nothing on. His father next to him, as the story goes, tried to say, shh. And there are persons trying to tell us what? Shh. Don't say anything because of what Colin Spencer sings, fear. And so the father said, shh. And the little boy said, but he has nothing on. The innocence of the little boy. And the father said, the little boy, the lad doth say he has nothing on, in reported speech. And so the crowd started saying, he has nothing on. I am challenging ourselves. Look around the landscape of Barbados and see the things that are being presented to us, sewn with political invisible thread, sewn on partisan political invisible fabric, and parading to us as this is what we're doing. This is how the money is being spent. This is all the loans that we're getting from IDB, World Bank, IMF, the African Export Import Bank, and any other, the Chinese. I haven't begun to talk about the Chinese, um, 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 the Chinese investment and loans. Who will dare, as that little boy, to say he has nothing on? What are you giving us from the public purse? Are we to accept nothingness? Loyalists, don't be fooled by the loyalists. Their voices want to be louder than those who say, account for that 5 million at Oistins. Account for hope. Account for the money spent at Kensington. Account for the road works up in pot pot house going down to that Kemar point out. Account for these things. Who, like the little boy will say, we're seeing nothing for our investment. And that it is, we're always seeing it's invisible trade, a garment sewn with invisible thread, with invisible fabric.
well, well,
I have
I
just
tell
thrown
you.
that together. I grew up under a teacher called B. Mosley at St. Philip's Girls' School, and she loved to tell stories. And that was what she would tell, and we would all put our hands up. Mom, I want to be the emperor. Mom, I want to be the weavers. Mom, I want to carry the train. And we had a ball. Tonight I enjoyed myself, but the seriousness behind this is that we do have an emperor who leads, who manages the public purse. And you out there have gone to the polls and elected 20, the other 27, because Sonia Brown speaks out. Minister Sonia Brown speaks out, and I ask that we pray for her. We pray for her, and we continue to support her boldness and her courage, and Ralph Torn and all the others. And let me tell you this, Pastor Furley. I met an MP, and you remember when I spoke to us here about the Prime Minister saying at the conference in St. Lucie that they're noisemakers, so knocking education reform and saying that education reform will put a lot of dunces out there. And I said, we never said that, because she spoke to this forum. And so I saw an MP and I told him, come up. I want you to tell Prime Minister she mustn't tell lies. In her exuberance, she must keep to the truth. Don't misinform the public. It creates division. The MP look at me and say, me? You asked me in the hearing of other people, you asked me to tell she something which she don't listen to nobody. This was one of her MPs who told me that. She doesn't listen. And so we have sitting drawing salaries in the lower house, and those in the upper house from the government side who see nothing is happening but parades and wants us to accept that all is well, and that we are promoting tyranny and anarchy when we say that things are not as they seem and the truth is not being told. Folks who are listening, thank you. I had fun sharing the
we,
story
I,
and pulling it together within our context. But we like the little boy and say, he has
no
nothing
clothes
on.
on.
Thank you.
Well, Rose, I'll tell you, I was chuckling all the way through because I was wondering what Marcy and Caswell would be thinking and saying. And welcome, Marcia. Welcome, Caswell. Really great to have you guys joining us. I hope you all were able to take in some of what Rose shared. But I tell you, Rose, I believe that most of them must be wearing what they now call AI visors, where there are it's virtual reality. So it isn't really there, but it appears to be there because they're wearing the visors and all these things on their eyes that make things appear. And all I would say is let him that hath an ear hear what's being said. Marcia, welcome. Caswell, welcome this evening. Great
Hi,
to have you guys joining us. Oh
it's
my
great
goodness.
to be here, and I mean, Rose, just excellent, very
I'm telling
excellent.
you.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, good night, Freddie. Good night, everyone. Marcia Rose. This Rose got pimplers here. You gotta be careful with your hand in it.
I tell you, I mean, she was spot on, and you know, I like when I like the part when the little boy said, "The emperor is no clothes on. The emperor has no clothes on," and that's simply what we're trying to say. You know, this government has no clothes on. This leadership has no clothes on. You are trying to give the impression that things are hunky-dory and sorry, rosy, but instead of that, I think it's a thorny issue there we're going to have to deal with. Oh my
The
goodness.
thing is, and these people who come up naked, they gotta be careful because their birth suits weren't pressing. Then look good.
You know, folk, you have to forgive us. You know, we know these are serious matters, but you know, laughter, they tell me, is good medicine. And to be honest with you, if you don't laugh, sometimes when we're facing some of these things, they're bad enough to drive you insane because you can't believe the madness that we're seeing and the nonsense that we're hearing. You know, just today, as I mentioned Rose. I think it was the Honorable Kirk Humphrey, the Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs. I think he was the person I heard making some comment to do with the Child Protection Bill and saying, you know, that it's there to protect the children and suggesting, you know, that persons who are critical are critical of a bill that's protecting the children. But that's not what we're critical of. We're critical of some of the clauses that are inclusive, that undermine the rights of parents and expose children to an LGBTQ2 plus agenda, which is at the fundamental foundation of all these issues we are dealing with. And then I think it was Minister Wilfred Abrams that said something about our criticism of the cybercrime bill, that, you know, we're criticizing something that's trying to keep our children, our daughters and so on, these pornographic pictures from being aired on social media. But that's not true. That's a blatant lie. We are addressing the matters of the 7 years and $70,000 and or both that are threatened to be imposed upon people for simply disagreeing and hurting your feelings
Yeah,
and affecting you. That's what we are addressing.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Freddie, while you're on that, you see, I mentioned it before on this show, and I just want to back you up on it because there's kind of they step in the house and they lie. When you tell half the truth, it's a lie because the bill, and I'm saying there was no need for that bill simply because the protections that they're talking about are already in the Computer Misuse Act. So we are not opposing those child bullying and pornography and all kind of stuff. The law is already there, passed since 2015. What they have done is to give people the impression that there's no law in place and we are opposing the law that will protect children. The law is already there protecting children. They just repeated those sections almost verbatim. So it says nothing new. All they had to do is leave what was there alone and the children will be protected. But they want to come out, and because they know people don't read a lot, they come and tell you what they want you to hear. And that is a lie. They're lying. You know, I must commend the Prime Minister for once telling the truth in the house when she says she don't know a lot about maths or English. She don't pretend to know about maths or English. She's just pretending to care about people. That was the truth, you know. But the rest of them are telling the truth. And she had that one little nugget. But I just hope they get some more. But it seems to be their playbook. They lie, and all of them tell the same lie. So it is like somebody developed these lies for them because I don't think they're smart enough. Somebody developed these lies for them, get them a sheet of paper and tell them go out there and say these things. It is not true. And the people of Barbados should call them to account for it, to come in to big people and lying. Once under the Westminster system, and you lied, and we were found to be lying, it was dismissal or resignation. You resign to save being dismissed. But no, anything goes. The entire system of government and governance in Barbados has gone through a revolutionary change for the worse.
Well, Caswell, you're so very right. Very, 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 very true. As I said before, to the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. But Rose, thank you so much for that tremendous presentation and concluding what you shared with us tonight. We're really appreciative. I'm sure that, you can read the comments that people have really appreciated the analogy that you've been able to bring to the forefront and present to us tonight. And we're going to roll straight into you, Caswell, because I know you have quite a bit to share. I know you've heard of some things that have recently happened at the prison. I'm sure of that. And we look forward to hearing from you and you sharing what's on your mind for tonight.
Well, what's on my mind, I confess to you that I have to respond to some things that people asked me in the crowd last night. When we were at Hastings Rocks, and people called me aside and they were saying that one lady, her daughter has been working now for a year and a half, and the employer is refusing to give vacation and stuff. I told her, well, I have a presentation that I'm going to do tonight. So stay tuned, listen for the presentation and watch it. So she said she and her friends to watch it. And then also a couple of civil servants pulled me aside and asked me, so I will deal with the things that, because I've written something to the prison and I sent it to the delegates at prison and they shared it. And it's becoming very popular because a lot of the things have been happening in public service in terms of your sick leave, vacation, and everything else is being done contrary to law, and it's been sanctioned by everybody in public service all the way down, because nobody ever thought when Gail Atkins, as chief personal officer, made a mistake or misinterpretation of the law and sent it out, that nobody checked. It just took her for her word, and nobody checked to see that she was misleading, and that misleading position has gone through the public service to the detriment of several people. And the Auditor General, even though I appreciate the work he's doing, sometimes he makes some mistakes. And one of the things that he has done is to put a situation in place or to demand something that was contrary to law. And civil servants are suffering for it. But let me start with the Holidays with Pay Act. Prior to 1952, January 11th, actually, 1952, there was nothing in Barbados called holidays with pay. If you had a decent employee, you want to give some vacation, so be it. And if you got holiday, you didn't get any money. That was the stage in Barbados. The people in the plantations, because in those days most people work in plantation, and they would get their holidays at Christmas. The father might give them some sorrel, bag of cut yams, and a couple of things, but that was it. No pay. Then the government of Barbados always followed the ILO. And I'm talking about the labor people, Grantley Adams and that group, Frank Walcott, Sir Hugh. So they put in place a lot of legislation, or they caused a lot of legislation to pass through Parliament to protect workers' rights and to protect benefits for workers. And one of those pieces of legislation was the Holidays with Pay Act from 1952. This people come around now and they see people getting holiday. They think it was something God given or something. No, it was hard fought legislation to give people a rest. You work all year and you get a couple of weeks. You get a couple of weeks off. Initially, it should be 2 weeks, but then under the protection of the Holidays with Pay Convention, it says it should be at least 3. And government, even though we have not signed that convention, they have actually legislated what were the requirements of that convention in Barbados. That was it was legislated in 1952. You will now see a Holidays with Pay Act. It's almost brand new. 2017, number 3. That was an attempt by the Democratic Labour Party to erase some of the memories of Grantley Adams and give people the impression that they were doing something revolutionary. Because now when you look into the law books of Barbados, you will see Holidays with Pay Act 2017. That 2017 Act, all it did was make some minor amendments to the original Act. But rather than just make the amendments and left the Act remaining as the 1952 Act, the 1951 Act that came into force in the 11th of January 1952, they changed, they repealed that thing and put the new one, put what the people call cold soup warm over thing. It was basically that. I know it looks as though this was done when the Democratic Labour Party was in power. All of them do it. They don't have any real ideas for themselves, so they take other people's one and put their names on it, so that when history is written, when it goes down history, 20 years from now, nobody will know or remember that there was a 1951 piece of legislation that these people just made a couple of amendments, so at least there were 4, and call it theirs now, right? But let me go through some of the provisions because I think it is necessary, because a lot of people do not know. The first part of the legislation I want to deal with, I can do one section by section. And I'm only pick up the things that people need to know rather than the other stuff. The section 4 provides that you get 3 weeks vacation a year, or they call it holidays with pay, if you work for a year and up to 4 years. After working 5 years, you're entitled to 4 weeks. Some employers are so mean in Barbados. For year 1, they give you 3 weeks. Year 2, they give you 3 weeks. Year 4, they give you 3 weeks. But in year 5, they give you your holiday before you reach the anniversary of year 5. So they give you 3 weeks again. But listen very carefully. In year 5, if you had gone on to pass your anniversary date, you'll be entitled to 4 weeks holiday with pay. Some employers have been mean enough, and I ask people to refer to the Labor Department when it happens. They say, no, you haven't worked 5 years yet, right? No, and you don't necessarily have to work an entire year to get vacation, because some people don't work a whole year. So a year of employment under this act is, if you work on a weekly, fortnightly, or monthly basis, the aggregate of that the time that you work is 208 days. Then you are entitled to a holiday. If you work other than monthly, weekly, fortnightly, or monthly, and you work 150 days, you're also still then entitled to holidays with pay. A lot of people don't get holiday pay because people say you work a year and that kind of stuff. That is nonsense. If you get like sessional work and seasonal work, and you're not a monthly, weekly, or fortnightly paid person, after 150 days, you are still entitled to your vacation. Right? 150 days. Under the old 1951 piece of legislation, you holidays must be given and taken in one period, or if employer and employee agree, in 2 pieces and 2 periods, but no more. That was changed in 2017 to say that you can be employed. Let me get the exact section for you. Section 4, where they have just said in 2 pieces or in 2 periods, or such other period, periods as the employer and the employee may agree. All right. So a lot of people work, especially for people like dentists and doctors and stuff. The doctor said, but you take 2 weeks now. You can't do that if you want your full holiday. It's against the law. But I've seen it at dental offices in particular, but the dentist go away for a little vacation and he tells you, but you take your vacation, you take 2 weeks, hey, coming back. And then he gives you your other 2 weeks sometime down the road. No, if you want your holiday and you want all, they must give you all. Now, if you want to take it in pieces, he has to agree and you have to agree. But if you say, I want all of my holiday, they must give it to you. That is in the law. That is, you have a right to that. I see too many people on a daily basis who are saying, but they tell me take a week now and come back. So they can't do that if you don't want it. The law does not allow that. Also, I see people get vexed and say, take vacation. That is not a vacation. In order for you to get a vacation, because the employer has a right to tell you when to go on vacation. You might want to go on vacation in August, and the employer says, well, you can't afford to go off in August. You might go out in July or September, and you have no choice. But if he wants to send you on vacation, he has to give you a minimum of 14 days notice. Failing that, you can refer the matter now to once under the old legislation, it wasn't holiday you get again. But no, you can take it before the chief labor officer, who can then refer it to the tribunal, the Employment Rights Tribunal. That is section 4, 5, and 6 of the Holiday with Pay Act. So I'm going to source it. So if everybody's writing it down, they will doing it. Also, no, and this is something I'm going to spend a little time on. Terminating people when they're about to take holiday. That is against the law. If you know somebody is going on holiday, you approve the vacation, then something happens, or you fire them, or you get them notice while they are just about to go on holiday, or when they are on holiday, that is unfair dismissal. And the law says, where such notice is given, it shall be void and of no effect. Now, we have some of our biggest people are government agencies, as distinct from public service, because the Holidays with Pay Act does not apply to the public service, but it applies to statutory boards and government institutions. The Holidays with Pay Act is not as generous as the provisions for public officers. Public officers, people who are appointed by the president or governor general back in those days on the advice of a service commission, or appointed by some person who the governor general has delegated that power, like the chairman of the commission or something like that. If you have one of those appointments, you're a public officer, and these rules do not apply to you. Your rules, your vacation comes out of the general orders. But if you are at a statutory board or one of these government-owned companies, they are not required to follow the general orders. And so your vacation pay would have your vacation pay comes under the provisions of the Holidays with Pay Act. I've seen, so this only last week, one government entity, a statutory board, sent home somebody when they were going on vacation. It is against the law. Mind you, what I'm going to say to you now is a bit confusing, but so I'm going to go too slowly. If, however, a statutory board or a government agency had not been complying with the Holidays with Pay Act and were giving you more generous conditions from your holiday, they can't stop now. They would have to say, well, look, any new employees that coming in, instead of giving them like certain people in the public service after work a particular salary, they get 42 days vacation, 6 weeks. That is not something that the statutory boards have to do. But because they have been doing it, they can't stop doing it in respect of the people who are receiving them. They can probably do it for people coming in to the statutory boards from tomorrow. But certainly, because you can give more generous leave than what is specified in this act, it can't be less generous than what is in the act. So those statutory boards who might hear me tonight, I will say, no, something, we can start getting people 42 days. They can't do it. Don't let me start a noise. You can't do it. It is not within your power to change these people's conditions of service because you have given them more generous conditions. And that has been existing for a long time because a lot of statutory boards came out of the public service. And you know, the politicians like to make them statutory boards so they can have more control. So they brought their public service rules and regulations and holiday and everything with them. You cannot now change it. I just want them to be aware that if they do it, they're still going to be bound by the act because the act says that you can give more generous holiday. For instance, this act says you can give me 3 weeks if I work for the first 4 years, and thereafter, after 5 years, 4 weeks. But I can say, I can give you 8 weeks if you're working for me in the private sector, but you can't give me 2. So any new employee that comes in, you got to give them a minimum of 3 years. You can't 3 weeks. You can't come in and say, oh, I can start giving them 2 weeks now. That is a no-no. But you can get them as much as you like. You can get them 5, you get them 6, you get them 10. It's up to you, but you can't give them less. Right? Holidays pay. Everybody hear about 352nd parts and 452nd part. So that's how we calculate it. You take the full year of employment, the salary for that full year, the preceding year, and you multiply it by 3 over 52, and that would give you how much pay you are supposed to give. Or likewise, if you are working for 4 weeks, you entitled to 4 weeks pay, you give you 4 over 52 times your salary for the year, the total remuneration for that year times 4 over 52, and that will give you how much pay you're supposed to get. However, there is a little known section that most people do not even notice. This came into the law in 2017. That's section 5. Section 5 deals with what I just said, but it also goes on at 5.1, but it goes on at 5.2 to say an employee, whether employed on a weekly, fortnightly, or monthly basis, who takes his annual holiday or part thereof, shall not be paid any less for the duration of that holiday than he would have been paid for a week, fortnight, or a month in the course of his normal employment. So what is happening here? If you normally get $50, that's maybe about $50. Let's say $50. The employer cannot now work out 3 over 52 times the $50 and say, well, that is how much we give you. No, you gotta give $50. You see, this 3 over 52 times the annual holiday. This is for people whose salaries and wages fluctuate. All right. But if you have one fixed salary or one fixed wage, at the end of your vacation, you get the amount that you're accustomed getting. That is section 5-2. They don't go on that work out for 50 seconds and all kinds of nonsense and then work it out. They give you what you would normally earn as your holiday with pay. I think that is very important because a lot of people are not aware of this. Termination. If they are terminating your employment, they must pay you the vacation that you have accumulated so far. So if, let's say, the last time you have vacation and they fire you within 6 months, they're going to give you half the vacation pay that you're entitled to. And I've seen a lot of people say, oh, you get vacation last year, but you didn't work a full year, so we ain't going to give you a vacation. No, that is nonsense. As long as you work for more than 3 months, they're going to work out the proportionate part of your, to give you holidays with pay. And 3 months does not necessarily mean January 1, February to March 31st. It means an aggregate of 48 days in 3 consecutive months. So if you work 48 days in 3 months, that is 3 months for the holidays with pay at 48 days. Remember it, 3 consecutive months. So if you work January, February, March, and in those 3 months you work 48 days, then you are still entitled to vacation pay if you are terminated. 48 days, not 90 days as 3 months happens to be. All right. Of course, everybody knows, and should know by now, that if you work on a bank, if you work and you apply for vacation, and during that vacation you have 3 weeks, but a bank holiday pops in during that vacation, you get an additional day with pay. So you get your vacation pay is an additional day, but it's also an additional day with pay. You get paid for that day when you are on get early bank holiday off. I want to touch now public the sections where the offenses are, because a lot of people do not know, and nobody tells them. You can be taken to court, right? I'm sorry, but this is Max, so yeah, he's getting excited about his friends. If you breach this act in any significant way, an employer could face the court. And let me set out some of the offenses that specify in the act. Even though the Labor Department don't like to do it, sometimes they have to, and they take them before the magistrate's court, and the magistrate sometimes fine the employer. Some of the offenses are: if you refuse to allow an employee to take an annual holiday to which he is entitled under this act, that's a crime. If you give an employee less annual holiday than he's entitled to, so if I am saying I want my vacation and you give me 2 weeks when I'm entitled to 3, that is a crime that the employer could face the courts for. Also, if you fail to pay an employee the average pay or part thereof to which he is entitled, then again, that's another crime. Also, if he gives you less notice, the 14 days note. If you know, I told you earlier that they have to give you 14 days notice to take vacation. The employer just can't come to your office and say, look, go on vacation from tomorrow. That is your crime. And also, if you terminate a person's employment when he is about to go on holiday, or when he is on holiday, it is not just a no-no. It is, according to the law, the notice is null and void. But you fire the man. The employer has also now committed an offense. Even if you fail to keep records of the people taking vacation, that is an offense. And if you commit any of these offenses that I just set out, the employer is guilty of an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $10,000 or to imprisonment for a term of 1 year or to both. And not anywhere near or $70,000 in 7 years, but we'll take it. So you have rights, and those rights are enforceable by the chief labor officer. If any of these things happen to you, you report the matter to the labor department, and the chief labor officer is duty bound to investigate. And if on investigate, and he will try to get the employer to behave, and if he doesn't, then the magistrate's court. It is as simple as that. But I'm sure a lot of people are not aware of this, and they grumble, and they think they're being unfair, and they have no resources or no recourse. They don't have the resources to take them to court, and they don't have no recourse because they may know that they got law that backing up everything that happens to them in terms of their holidays with pay. It is sometimes scandalous when you hear the things that people go through, and even I'm talking about who work for government entities. This administration in particular, they are fast becoming, if they have not already done so, the worst employers in Barbados. They breach these and everything else. Now I want to deal with these are the highlights. There are other provisions in this act, but these are the highlights that a worker needs to be aware of. All right? The rest, yeah, be good academic knowledge and stuff, but what I've highlighted for you are things that you must know. Okay, now let me go to public service. Public service thing is much easier. They get their vacation out of what we call the general orders for the public service. And that is done in accordance with a schedule to this act. It's simple. Officers in receipt of basic salaries of not less than the salary scale per annum of assigned to Z11 in the salary scale. Most public officers will know what Z11 means. That's the salary. There's a you get the top the executive officer scale. Executive officer 1611. If you're an executive officer and you reach the top of your scale, from there onwards, you can get 42 days vacation. Mind you, you do not have to take all of your vacation in a year. That's one of the things that the public service has that they don't have in the private sector. Because the private sector can tell we are not rolling over vacation. You got to take your vacation, and you got to take it. Because if the employer don't send you on vacation and you don't take it, he has committed a crime. In the public service, however, you can accumulate at if you are at the salary just above, at the top of the executive officer scale and higher, you can take 14 days vacation out of your 42 days and carry forward the rest. And you could do it again next year and carry forward the rest again. And you could accumulate up to a maximum of 126 days. And people do that especially when they're going down, coming out of the retiring age type thing, they pile up all this vacation and they have you on pre-retirement leave. Pre-retirement leave just means that you had a lot of vacation and you went on the vacation prior to, because you can't go up, when you leave public service, you should have a vacation left back. So you get pre-retirement leave. But you can take it at any time. So for instance, you might have 90 days. And you don't say, that's something, I want to go away with the children and spend some time with my grandchildren in New York and all kinds of things and spend 3 months. So you accumulate your vacation over periods. If you do not take 14 days, you lose them. Let me repeat. You must take a minimum of 14 days in any 1 year. If you do not take those 14 days, you lose them. Unless the department says to you, we want you to hold on because things tough, we ain't got the body work, we ain't got body stuff, but they got a project coming up. If it is at their insistence, then you can save that 14 days, but you cannot not take them without what they call the exigencies of the service, whatever that means. It's for the better of the service. If the service needs you, they can ask you to stay on, and then they cannot take away your 14 days. Again, over the level of executive officer, Z11. If you're at Z11, now people who are below, they can accumulate various times too, right? Like for instance, if you have salary below Z11, but higher, but Z23 or up, you can accumulate 78 days. Z23 is senior clerk, right? So senior clerk in public service, they can accumulate 78 days. And then of course now below Z23, but less than 5 years, you can accumulate a maximum of 35 days, and more than 5 years, you can accumulate 70 days, right? So everybody that you get some time. Also, this schedule provides for sick leave, how much sick leave you can take, and it basically tells you 21 days if you're appointed, 14 days if you're temporary. However, now let me talk about vacation. Your vacation. And what happens if you are on vacation? And I've had this just recently. Some person did not turn up for work the day that they should have turned up for work after the vacation. If you have more vacation due to you and you don't turn up, the clock keeps ticking. So let's say you have 14 days vacation. And when your vacation finished, you're supposed to come back to work the Monday morning, and the boy ain't see you. They keep on counting 15, 16, 17, 18 till you turn up, or till you run out of time, until you run out of vacation. And then after that, there's a process we go through where then they will send you a letter from the Ministry of Public Service saying that the boy ain't see you, and they invite you to a meeting for because they got to bring a charge against you. Just can't dismiss you, you abandon the job, because that used to be the case, but the courts outlawed that. So they have to write you and go through a process. Now, if you don't come to the meeting, that's not their fault. And then they can say, well, you don't come to the meeting and stuff, and we can propose to dismiss you and advise the president that you should be dismissed from public service, and there you go. Unless you were somewhere in a coma and the boy communicated that to the commission, that's the only thing you get away. Also, there's something called ludes. This is something is peculiar to the public service, but it has caught on in the private sector for employers who want to cheat their workers. There's something called the Protection of Wages Act that says that if you work, you should be paid in legal tender. Legal tender is money, plastic or paper, whatever, but money. Or with your consent, they can give you a check. But if you insist, they're gonna give you money. Some people tell you, oh no, in order to work here, you have to get an account at X bank. That's against the law. I could agree for you to put my money in the bank or to give me a check, but you can't force me. And when I work, I must get paid. So let's say you're working in a business and the business require you to work on a bank holiday, which is an off day for workers. They cannot give you back a day and call it a lieu day, like what they do in the public service. That I would challenge at some time in the public service too, because I believe that is wrong. Because the general orders provide that an officer or employee who is required to work on public holidays for which compensation by the payment of an allowance is not made may be eligible for the grant of the requisite days off duty as compensation for those public holidays during which he actually worked. Then it goes on at 537 to say the days off for which the officer or employee is eligible will be credited to his normal vacation leave and be granted at the convenience of the ministry or department during the year. So you know when you work in the public service, if you work a bank holiday and you don't have an allowance for working on a bank holiday or you're not paid for it, your vacation goes up by 1. Not that you're on vacation, I think. And the bank holiday comes, you get more vacation. If you work on a bank holiday, your vacation should go up as 1. But the public service over time has refused to recognize that the government signed a protection of wages convention that say you must pay people in legal tender. Even though we have the Protection of Wages Act, and people may argue, even though our Barrow saying that no, it binds the crown, the Barbados Labour Party, Henry Ford, Leslie Bowles, kind of thing, trashed Barrow in the House of Assembly in 1975 to say, no, it doesn't. Mind you, this was the government of the day saying that this year when they bring legislation here dealing with this thing, it binds the crown. And the Barbados Labour Party was saying to our Barrow, no, man, I can't bind the crown, no mind you with that. When Barrow said it binds the crown, but they fought against, the Barbados Labour Party fought against workers getting protection under the Protection of Wages Act. But we have signed a convention that is binding. So how can the government sign a convention and then do something other than that? And I'm not speaking only about this government. I'm talking about all the administrations have done it. You got to pay people in legal tender. You know, when the people in the private sector give you off, they have no provision whatsoever. The Protection of Wages Convention says it applies to everybody who receives a wage. And they define wage as salary and whatever else. And watch how ridiculous it is. You work on a public holiday, and they tell you that you give they can give you about 8 hours a day. But that public holiday, you would have been entitled to time and a half or double time. So they should be giving you back a day then. They should be giving back 2. But no, they give you back 1 day at the normal rate. So something has to be wrong with that. But this is private sector. But I like to put it like this. When I work for you, you pay me with an asset that belongs to you. That asset is called money. You cannot pay me with an asset that does not belong to you. And time does not belong to you unless you name Jesus. And I don't think he had any employees. He had disciples. Freddie might correct me there, but I don't think that he had any employees. So you do. So time is not something that you can give me. It is not yours to pay me with. But we have a lot of private sector employees or employers who do that, and they get away with it. And because we have a labor department that is supposed to protect workers, but they, mind you, for whatever reason, mind you, they got 8 labor officers in Barbados right now. 8. That stretched to the limit. Every person that gets fired in Barbados now has to be labor department. And you go and see one of those 8. But many days, those 8 are out doing research with the minister, writing cabinet papers with the minister. They are, mind you, that's not their job. But when the minister come and want cabinet paper, right, you got the labor department, we can do, they can tell you no, they should, but they don't, because everybody frightened. So while they are supposed to be technical people and doing the technical work and leave the admin officers and stuff in the ministry itself, the ministry proper to do government, to do cabinet papers and things. Mind you, if the admin officer don't know and they ask somebody for a little help, so be it. But they're not supposed to be writing them. These position papers are done by the people in the ministry, not in the labor department. So you're doing a lot of ministry work, a lot of work for the minister. Even investigating Unity Workers Union, he delegated people from the labor department to go and do it. And that's by the way, though. And these officers are now supposed to be at meetings between employers and employees. They can't get the meeting schedule because they're either in court or they're visiting some workplace where they got problems. So you have only 8 to do all of that work. So, and that is why a lot of people are not getting their cases heard, because according to the law, you have 42 days. The labor department has 42 days to resolve the issue, and if they don't get it resolved, then they pop it to the tribunal. But what is happening here? 42 days, 42 months, sometimes go and you don't get a chance to sit down with the employer because for whatever reason, some employers are disrespectful of the labor department and nobody will take them to court. Or the labor officer is out there doing something that's not his job, but delegated to go and do. Or he is in court. And when you know you're a labor officer, you're in court. And you get a summons to come to court to give evidence in a case. Court starts at 9 o'clock. Nobody don't tell you that you're going to come by 11 or 11:15 or quarter, you know. So you stand on there till 1:30 to find out that the case is adjourned. So that officer now is but have wasted an entire day at court when they could have been doing at least 2 cases or seeing 5 or 6 people that come to the labor department. So sometimes when you hear me complain and saying that there are no officers there to take the complaints from the people, that is true. But it's not the officer's fault. Sometimes you call into the officers, but the officers are in a meeting, so the phone rings. Because the officers are some little holes. The office only hold a desk and a filing cabinet. Her chair and one other chair come inside there. And if somebody come in there and they've got a very bad market size, you're in trouble. The labor department, the space that they give labor officers to work in, if that were a private side entity, they will shut it down. Space is too small. So if you have to, so you can't have a meeting in your office. If you got 2 or 3 people, you got to find a meeting room for them. But the phone is on your desk. So when the phone is on your desk, and you are some meeting rooms somewhere else, you can't hear it ringing. So people say the labor officers don't answer the phone. They answer it when they're at the desk. But they can't be there all the time because they ain't got the kind of visit. They treat the labor department like 3rd class citizens. I'm not even going to say 2nd, 3rd class. Because I believe they don't want them to work. They don't want them really to challenge these employers to do the right thing. So you make it hard for the labor department to do its job. And then when you have a labor department who has to deal with statutory boards and other government entities, because they got the ministers behind them, they don't even turn up. Bra is famous for that. The labor department, some of them to meetings, they come. No explanation either. Because they feel like nobody ain't gonna, the labor department ain't gonna put them in court. They're disrespectful of them. So workers' issues have a lot. They have a lot of problems because all these things I'm telling you about tonight are enforceable through the labor department, but the labor department wants staff. And then when you get new staff and the train, they get well, the senior people, they make the life miserable. People get my life. People get my life and say, I can't take on this no more, gone. Send me back to my post. And then a new batch come in, and you got to train them all over again. So while you're training them, you got 2 labor officers now trying to deal with the matter. When you got one to deal with the matter, but no, you're going to be using that person as a teacher. The place is a mess. And I remember the last chief labor officer when he told me he was going on vacation, he was going on retirement. He says, I know you'll be happy about it. I said, you're damn right. And no, I would welcome him back over the one I got now. You know, because he used to do little, and she precious little, and she do, but her little isn't even precious now. They're taking the wrong people and putting them in positions and to disadvantage workers. Workers are not getting the kind of respect due to them or the justice due to them because the Labor Department and the Ministry of Labor has not been living up to what is expected. Because right now, for instance, coming to the Labor Department, you got the tribunal. The tribunal got no home. So if the tribunal want to hold a case, they got to beg somebody to let them a conference room. And so, and if somebody can use it, you can't get it because it ain't yours. So you can't get a case heard. Also, they're stopping from shorter staff because you have the transcription clerk and the secretary. She's one person. So she could only service one meeting at a time. So even though there are 3 panels, you can only one can function if it can find a room. And when you're hearing the Prime Minister talking about, oh, they're going to get help from the ILO, you don't want help from nobody. You just want to give them a room. You don't need the ILO to tell you open up a room. But and the thing is too, right now, the last chairman of the Employment Rights Tribunal, he resigned over a year ago, has not been replaced. There are 3 lawyers on the tribunal. So there are 3 panels, right? So each panel has a lawyer, a workers representative, and an employee representative. The employee representative is nominated by the union. The labor representative is the employers confederation. I mean, the employers representative is nominated by the employers confederation. So they are fully manned when it comes to labor and the employers confederation people. But the government is tardy because right now there's one chairman available to you that can chair a panel. Kathy Hamblin. She's the only lawyer available. There must be 3. She's the only one. Government has not put the other 2 in place. So you can only have one tribunal at any time. Even if you had the other staff, you only got one tribunal that can work, one panel that can work because they only got one lawyer. So this is nonsense. It is treating the workers disrespectfully, And then the prime minister gets up and makes some little fancy noises and saying, "Oh, we can go to this place and probably gonna beg for more money or borrow some to get something that we can fix." I keep telling them, right? If they want to know how to run a tribunal, call Monique Tate. Monique Tate runs a severance payments tribunal, and she is so efficient. It's even funny. She knows what to do. You don't have to go overseas. You don't got to go to the ILO. You don't got to go to England and watch the tribunals work. Go and sit down and spend half hour with Monique Tate, and you will see how it's done. Because I've appeared before her on several occasions, and quite frankly, I'm impressed by her. But she don't let me get away with things too. But I can forgive her for that. But just ask her. We got people here.
Well, that's the problem that we have. That's the problem we have, Caswell. We got good people here, but we're bringing in consultants left, right, and center.
You don't have to go anywhere. Well,
we have great people here. Great people.
I think she get disrespected so much. No, she might not want to help them, but ask her. She has the ability. I see her perform. I see her perform at severance payment tribunals. She don't make it legalistic that the worker who is unrepresented cannot understand. And the thing is, sometimes a worker comes there without representation, and if they're lucky enough to get Monique Tate, they will get a decision that is favorable to them because she cuts away the legal jargon and all kind of stuff away from the case, because that's what tribunals are supposed to do, and not be imitating courts. So go and ask them. Tell them, talk to Monique. You don't need, as the Prime Minister suggested, ILO and all kind of stuff. We got competent people here. The problem with the Prime Minister, she ain't got a lot of competent people around her, so she don't know where they're going to look for them outside. So she's going to go and find them up overseas. We don't need them.
Well, Caswell, I really appreciate you sharing so much. Don't mind you saw my camera off. I was just doing a couple of things, but I was listening very intently to all of the information you were sharing. I would covet at some point in time, knowing where all of these things are located, that we can maybe you can put together, like a list of these different acts that you've referred to, and send it, shoot it over to us so we can put it on to the chat, so that people would have a comprehensive covering. Because there's some people asking about, I see one there, the general order should be made available to all civil service, and I think I saw somebody asking about compassionate leave, who's entitled, and maybe you can pick that up. Today's Monday. Monday. Yeah, maybe you can pick them up on Wednesday night with that question. What about compassionate leave and who is entitled? But I mean, to be honest with you, we talk about this show being an education, where you come and learn. And I think somebody put it in the chat most appropriately. Class is in session, because I a lot tonight, and even from Rose as well, learned a lot tonight from both of your presentations. I tell you some of the things I hear you speaking to. I know I myself, when I worked for several different companies many years ago, I went through, not aware that what you've shared is actually illegal, and you can challenge. I saw somebody raise a question again that maybe you can make a note of it. Can an employer legally split your vacation and not give you your vacation one time? That's another question.
No, they cannot, unless you agree.
Right. So it has to be by your consent. Right. Okay. Well, this was really tremendous, Caswell, honestly. And again, somebody put in the chat, they wonder what I don't think I can put my finger on it, but they were wondering what the other leaders of the other unions are doing, in terms of educating their people and letting them know what the laws are pertaining to these type of things. Tremendous stuff. I mean, boy, I tell you, Caswell, I will try and catch up with you sometime, but I don't know if I'll be able to do that. I really don't know if I'll be able to do that. But this is all very important, especially today. where people's employment is being threatened so easily, and people are afraid to even speak out because they fear the repercussions of them standing up, and for what they believe is the correct thing to do. So let me say how really grateful we are for you taking the time tonight. And I know that this is not the last, folk. This is not the last of our educational exercises with Mr. Caswell, Mr. Franklin, because there's so much that we need to be made aware of. So very, very much. Well, Caswell, we have Kimar in the house. So I'm going to bring him in. Kimar, are you there? Because you're there, Kimar. I just want to make sure that you're in the house.
Yes, good night. I am here.
Yes, yes. Good night. Good night. Great to have you with us again tonight, and another great presentation last night. And a great evening we have. Good evening to you, and welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Pastor Ferdinand. Happy to be on the show. Good night to you. Good night to Caswell.
Good night, Kimar.
Um, Good night to Marcia, Dave, and all of the members of the loyal opposition. Very happy to be here. We had a good Rotate Parliament yesterday on Hastings Rock. Um, I had a very good breeze on the sea, so I
Yes,
really
it
liked
was. It
it.
was.
And yeah, it was a very lovely evening, and I was glad to be there. So, well done to all of the persons who would have put it together. And I just want to give an extra round of applause for Marcia and Dave,
Yes, and Dave.
and
Yes,
and for
yes,
all of the members of the panel, those persons who speak and who uh, take time out to sacrifice to be here to keep the movement going, and to especially thank all of the viewers and the persons who turn up at Rose Parliament, even the people who watch the program every night, even those persons who may not show themselves. There are many who watch the program and would see you in and around restaurant and other places. And when you go in the community and say, you watch the show.
yes,
Thanks to all
yes.
of those persons who continue to watch.
Well,
Um,
we're gonna miss Marcia for a little bit, Kimar and Caswell, because she has interview with she has an interview with a Jamaican podcast this evening, right now, actually,
No, she,
about the cybercrime bill.
no, she's getting like Kimar. No, Kimar has to take his breath down to go Bahamas and thing. So
Yeah. Well, she's on Jamaica tonight, and
yeah,
I'm on the Bahamas tomorrow night. So,
he,
Kimar, you laid out the picture for us to follow on.
yeah, yeah. But all not you're missing those your suit. Make sure you got your jacket on and look nice,
Yeah, yeah,
and you
yeah,
fit the
right
bill perfect.
on. Yeah, so just so the folk would know, they might wonder where she's disappeared to, but she is just doing an interview. She's speaking on a Jamaican podcast, even now at this particular time. And hopefully, I think they're going to do a YouTube recording of it. So I'm sure it will appear at some later date in YouTube. But Kimar, what's on your mind for tonight, my friend?
I'm going off camera for a little bit, but I'm staying right here. But I'm going off camera because there's certain things
Yep.
I have to do.
Okay. Okay. No problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
So,
I
Kimar, go
was
right ahead.
listening to I was just listening to Caswell um a bit there, and I wanted to him to go on to continue to speak. It's probably had to sign off, but last night in my presentation, I touched a bit on the trade unions and the representation of trade unions in Barbados, and how we had trade unionism was a big thing between 2013 and 18, and you had the Barbados Workers Union led by Tony Moore. You had the National Union of Public Workers headed by Akani McDowell, and you had the unions marching every chance they got, You had the unions opposing the government every chance they got. You had the unions teaming up with the private sector uh, to march against the government. But after the general election in 2018, the unions just went dead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? The unions wanted what it was 23%, a 23% increase in wages, and they demanded that they got this increase. But then when the government changed, they sold out for 4%, right? 23 down to 4%, right? But they were sticking out firmly for 23%. Well, another government went in place, but as soon as the government changed, they sold out and took 4%. As for now. And that completely damaged the confidence of the trade union movement in Barbados. Completely. Right?
I tell you.
And
I tell you.
to make matters worse, then you took the general secretary of the Barbados Workers Union and gave her a seat in Parliament, right? Forcing out one of the long-serving stalwarts. And since then, trade unionism has become almost what Robert Martin describes it as a gumless. Because people see a toothless tiger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Unions in Barbados have become a gumless tiger. They don't even have gums to bite,
Oh, oh my goodness.
right? So I am always happy to see Caswell representing, because his union is the only union that is staying firm on the righteous true path for trade union representation. And I would encourage all of the persons in the public sector and other parts of employment to withdraw your membership from some of these unions.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Withdraw your membership and explore other options. I said, Unity Workers Union, in my opinion, has been doing a tremendous job. So there's an option, there's an alternative, if you wish, right? I recognize since Tony Moore was put in Parliament, now you're hearing that Mr. McDowell may be canvassing the St. Michael Central constituency,
Hmm.
and you have people entering into trade unionism as a launch pad uh, in the political party. And then, but you know what? I'm not surprised. All along when we watch the annual conferences, Pastor Ferdinand, the government, we
Mm-hmm.
keep seeing the heads of the unions associating with the government.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Right? I didn't see the heads of the unions associating with uh, other political parties.
But Kimar, I mean, you're a student in this area, but you will recall the administrations of the Democratic Labour Party when staunch members of the DLP, persons like goodness gracious me, I forget his name now, and Leroy Trotman and them were the heads of the unions, but still pressed government on the behalf of the people. There was a aspect of integrity that they possessed in representing the people, in spite of the fact that they were in government.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
They
that is
for the
accurate,
interest of the people.
but but that became a problem when you started to color your political lines now.
Yes,
So
yeah.
as opposed to trade unionists at heart entering into party to help the government or to help a government, but you have no our politicians or political people at heart going
Coming into
in
the union.
to the trade union movement, obviously on instruction from uh, a political strategist or leader of a political party infiltrate organizations that political parties may also have control in the spaces of unions because the union can make or break a country, as we saw that the trade unions last time under the control of two political party hacks. We saw the repercussions of putting power, trade union power, in the hands of two political party members who then use that power to help frustrate a governing administration that they did. Right? So my question is, right? My question is, when you have trade unions who have the power to shut down a country if necessary, being complacent and being in bed with government, situations like workers' rights will be trampled all the time. So check it out. The Grant Leaders International Airport, they made a mess of that. Right? Up to now, we really have not been hearing much discussion from the NUPW surrounding the workers and the status of the workers at the airport. Right? So you've been telling me that shop stores have no issues or have had no issues since 2018, really? Like, hotel workers have had no issues that merited the. But what we saw was a social media debacle between the head of the BHDA, Rene Copping, and a trade union. Like, right? Social media wars. But ask the members, right? Ask the members of the trade unions if their rights are being represented right now in the union that they're in, and if their unions and the heads being so heavily embedded and associated with the current government. Ask them if the workers are better off than previously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? They protested Pastor Ferdinand against NSRL, right? The unions,
Oh yes, I remember that very well.
and said that they wanted it decreased or reduced, and the whole country would collapse. And uh, they said everything about it. Since then, NSRL was removed. We had the garbage and sewage tax. We got the fuel tax. We had increases in land tax.
And we
We
haven't
had
had a decrease in the VAT.
we had okay. We haven't had a decrease in VAT.
Remember that? Remember when that was introduced, Kimar, by the then Minister of Finance, that Mia Motley and the Barbados Labour Party opposed it and came to office and have done nothing about it.
Well, in the manifesto, they promised that VAT will go back down to 15%.
Yes, and it has.
However, that has been another broken promise by the government. They
We could
promised to
give.
reduce the VAT back down to 15%. The same way they promised that the garbage and sewage tax was only supposed to be a temporary 18-month tax. But
Yeah.
18 months has come and gone so many times. But remember, according to Dr. Clay Masco, the garbage and sewage tax makes $80 million a month. Right? Remember Dr. Clay Masco on that debate on Down to Brass Tacks
Oh yes.
with me. He said it clearly out of his mouth. And then he was asked again by the moderator, by Wilkinson, to confirm that the garbage and sewage tax makes approximately, on average, $80 million a month. And he said yes, again.
Wow. Wow.
Right. So all of these new taxes, a lot of changes in the contracts for workers, the changes to the national insurance. You had national insurance workers being forced on to sign a contract with this new NASSS are changing the terms of workers. No protest from the unions.
Hmm.
Right. Workers who refused to sign on to the new NAS were transferred to other public departments all over the government because they refused to sign on. Right. No protest from the government.
Hmm.
Young people in this country, Pastor Ferdinand, work in that ASH program. Some not having or paying any national insurance. That they just walked away with nothing after. Right. Put the health at risk, worked in in that ash, the sun and the rain, and they were working for government, and government didn't even provide the national insurance for the ash workers. Nothing from the unions.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So I don't know if it is that the DLP has to be in power for the unions to protest, or another political party has to come along and emerge, and then they will say, well, if it is not their favorite party, you know, the thing. But this is serious. And what is irking me about this situation is that the government continues to block Caswell Friendly and Unity Workers Union from being recognized as a legit trade union in Barbados. They're blocking them from the University of the West Indies. They're blocking them from BRA, the Revenue Authority. Caswell Friendly has so many members of BRA under his union, but still he's being blocked from representing those workers. That is not right. That is not fair. Right? Sanitation that protested today has so many issues in it. Right? Did you know, Pastor Ferdinand, that the Barbados Water Authority, who collects the garbage and sewage tax, that the component of the garbage and sewage tax that goes to the Sanitation Service Authority, I think it's about $1.25 out of the $1.50 total charge. Uh, Out of that money, which is supposed to go to Water Authority, has not been paying over that component to sanitation. Right?
Really? Hmm.
So the money is supposed to be split. Sanitation is garbage and sewage. Okay. Sanitation. The sanitation component, Water Authority has not been paying it over to sanitation. And the union has been saying to the workers that they cannot get an increase in hazard pay, they cannot get facilities upgraded, and they cannot get some other incentives. In other ways, because Water Authority was not paying over its component of the garbage and sewage tax to the sanitation. And that was what the unions were telling to the sanitation workers as the reason why they couldn't get any hazard pay. Right. So the garbage and sewage tax needs investigating. Right. Again, what really are the unions doing for the sanitation work? So many things are going wrong at sanitation right now. The amount of complaints that they get about the things that are happening in the sanitation process for that, it will make you, whoo. Right?
Yes, I'm hearing some of them myself as well.
The work conditions. Right? These guys have a job that puts their health at risk, and the government don't even want to pay the guys proper allowances, laundry allowances to wash the clothes when they go and do public service. right?
But
And
every
these guys,
parliamentarian can
sorry,
get that allowance. That every parliamentarian can get the allowance and all the wear suits
yes.
and work in air conditioned buildings.
So
You see
so
what? Go ahead.
remember, yeah. So remember that the guys over in the depot for sanitation in St. Thomas, that these guys protested because they had infestation in the water, drinking water. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And these guys pro- protested, got some media attention, but they also showed the work conditions of the sanitation workers over in that depot as well. So if you can spend $50 million at Kensington, right? If you spend at least 5 million of that to help these guys at sanitation, then you wouldn't be having all of these protests. Then you wouldn't be having infested water for workers to drink from, right? So again, where are the unions? In fact, what the unions are encouraging is for you to come in and talk with the government so that they can railroad you all over again, because most of these unions are getting instructions directly from within the bosom of the government. Right? So I would not count on trade union representation if I was a member of a trade union. Like I said, and they will repeat it again, Barbados should withdraw themselves and stop paying union dues to these trade unions in this country. Right? That is how I personally feel about that. Hey, as well as back.
Yeah, Caswell, you're back.
Yes, I am back. I was at sanitation today and I didn't have lunch and I didn't have a lot of things, so I couldn't survive the whole night without getting something to eat. So I took a little
You're
break.
you're you're very soft. You can get any louder.
No, I no, I said
Ah,
that
there you go.
I was at sanitation the better part of the morning, so I skipped lunch and I couldn't skip dinner, so that's why I went off a little bit.
That's okay. That's okay. I went off a little bit myself to avoid fainting.
No,
Great. You had a chance to hear.
Kimar was quite. I listened to every
Yeah,
word
yeah,
Kimar said,
yeah.
and he was quite right. There's nothing that he said that was untrue, but he didn't say is that Frandl was offering the unions 7% increase, and they said wanted 23, and they turned around and took 4.5. But the so it would appear 7% was too little according to them. But their mathematics, because they probably like me, they don't know a lot about maths or thing. They don't pretend to know about maths because somehow they believe that 4% was more than the 7 that the DLP was offering them. But that just goes to show, and again, right, you remember you said that they only have protests when the DLP is in power.
So you mean the unions are only pretending to care about people?
Yeah, they too.
That word "pretend" has a different meaning these days. Why tell you? But
uh,
very very seriously. Yeah, go ahead, Kumar.
Cadwell, somebody was sorry. I was making the point that they were blocking you from being recognized as a lead. Somebody wanted to know how, so could you
Wow.
explain it to them
Um,
what is happening
let
there?
what, brah, my union has 109 members. Bra rules say that they will recognize any union that the workers join. That's in their rules. And UPW has about 60 now, 60 members in they're recognized. BW has one, 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 uno, and they are recognized. But with 109, they are saying there will be no recognized guys where you don't got enough members. That's what's going from there. So they don't want to sit down over the table from us and discuss the issues that my members have because they're saying we are not recognized. Same thing at sanitation this morning. We had about half the members of sanitation service authority that had unionized, but yet still they want NUPW there. The management of sanitation insists on talking to NUPW. They don't want to talk with me. My problem is that when I speak for the workers. When the other unions speak, they speak for their masters. Right? Even at KFL, at KFL, I solved the problem when KFL had a strike, and over these $1,500, the $1,500 how much they were supposed to get, they came to me, and I said to them, "Look, I can't accommodate all of you right now. I am very busy, and I don't want to chew on more than I can bite off, And so I said, but let me tell you what to do. Take my forms, take them down to KFL, and let people see you sharing them out. From the time they see that, they're going to settle with you very quickly because the management at KFL don't want me down there. The Barbers Workers Union don't want me down there, and the Prime Minister don't want me down there. Within 2 days, that matter was solved, all because Unity Workers Union forms were distributed down there. And I told them it was going to happen. But I couldn't, I honestly, I didn't want a situation where I go and take on something else, and I was too busy. I couldn't do it. So I said, but I can solve it for you, man. A reporter called me and tell me, Caswell, I get a story, but I got to hear from you first because somebody in management cable called me and tell me that it was you who solved this, right? And asked me what they're talking about. So I told the reporter, but I couldn't print it. Right? That's the problem. These unions are self-serving. Frank Walker used to fight against Barrow. He was in the
yes,
the Democrat Labour Party.
and Leroy Trotman.
Well, not much. He much. He used to sell more than he bring
More
in.
than he fought.
So, but he loved Owen Arthur, and Owen Arthur would come in and he would allow Owen Arthur to score the victory. So as Owen Arthur looked good. That was the price for a knighthood. But he didn't do a lot. He was one of the people at the 8% pay cut thing who absented himself from the House rather than vote for the workers. If he has stuck around in the House, because he was present during the debate, but coming up to the vote, he left. So his vote will not be recorded. Government won that debate, but I think it was a one vote. He was at the CCL signing checks. At Judy, as he was president of CCL at that time, or John CCL, I can't remember when it was, as if he was president. And he thought it more important to go out and sign checks than to stay in the House and vote against cutting severance payments from 4 weeks' pay to 2.5 weeks, than to cut people's salary by 8% and to cut unemployment benefits. I will never forgive or forget him for that. If he and Bobby Morris had actually stood up against the government, but mind you, Bobby Morris was honest enough to say he ain't doing it because that was his party. But Trotman left. He was the general secretary. He left the House and did not vote. Because if he had voted, he would have to vote for the workers. And he couldn't afford to do that because then the government would have lost the vote. And he didn't want that. So he left. So he ain't a hero. I don't care what anybody tell me. You see, Don't listen to the propaganda that they are actually spewing. Listen to what actually happened. He sold out, and he sold out in spades. He's a hero. So I take my hat off to Frank Walker. In the earlier years, Frank Walker used to fight for the workers. You see how we march through town on Saturdays?
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to take that away from the unions too. And Frank Walker insisted. And he decided he's going to shut down this place. So unions were exempted from the provisions of the Public Order Act, so that the unions can march freely when they want to and hold public meetings when they want to. Mind you, we will tell the police that be having these meetings so that they can come and provide security. But that was Frank Walker who fought against Barrow, and Barrow was the leader of his party. You don't see this happening now. You see Tony Moore fighting against the government.
No,
Don't
in
hold
fact,
your breath.
what she's doing is that she is being put on every committee there is. She was put on a committee, the 20-mile water committee, to privatize the water, Barbados Water Authority. The one that had all of the businessmen on it that they set up to tackle, tackle water management. She was put on that committee. She was also put on the BERT monitoring committee to monitor the IMF program. Anything from her? No. Right? So this, Kazo, what you just described was the glory days and the glory years of universe. This thing has sunk so low, right? That is not even any shame about it anymore. The BWU is well, I guess traditionally the BW has connection to the BLP, but that has completely become an arm of the government. So much so, right? That watchdog they operated, that we have signed on to what was now 2 IMF programs as well.
Yeah. It's,
You
it's,
hear anything? You hear anything from Tony Moore?
Nope.
not
Nope.
normally.
Well,
You see, Tony Moore, to tell the truth, landed in that job because she was highly favored by the then Giants at Leroy Trotman. As a matter of fact, because she didn't know what she was supposed to be doing, he stuck around for a short period to mentor her and to show her what to go around. He's still there. Because you didn't learn anything yet. I can understand if you have a person in an organization and he's leaving the office, that he would bring in some person and spend a couple of months training them, that kind of stuff. He about 10 years no training her. She ain't got there yet.
But she is the person, and you might recall I raised it in one of our marches. But she's the person that wanted to suggest that our marches were a demonstration of uh what anarchy and what, I can't remember what the term is. She didn't call us by name, um, but very very negative. I don't recall the term right now
Look,
at this particular
look,
point.
see, what we were doing embarrassed her because this is what she should be doing. Because you see, people don't understand, but trade unions are not just only there for wages. If you look out for the welfare and the well-being of workers, you have to look out for things that matter to them. Because if they can't work, like for instance, you're a pastor. You just don't go and preach the gospel. There got some people in your church that might not have food. You have to provide some food.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
get
That's
some
right.
clothing, help children get back to school. That
That's
is what
right.
you do. So,
Help
so,
pay
so
electric bills,
your
the water
role.
bills, the
That's
bicycle
what I'm telling you.
uniforms. Yes.
But your role is just not wages and salaries. You got to look up there for the welfare of the workers,
Correct.
the general well-being. That is your role. So it isn't just sitting down and saying, well, Every 2 years we can negotiate salaries. No, there's so many other things. Unions should have somebody going through the legislation that comes before the parliament to see how it will affect their members.
Caswell, look, think about it. We just had COVID. Barbados was on lockdown. We had forced scenarios where they try to force a job on people. People lost jobs. Where were the unions and all of this?
No.
Right? That was one of the worst times in history in terms of the treatment of Barbadian workers. Nothing from the unions.
But I'm
Right?
glad you mentioned that, Kimar, because there is legislation on the books of Barbados that was passed in 2020. It is the Employment Prevention and Discrimination Act. It just close by. That act says, let me read a particular section for you so that people wouldn't think I'm making it up. Subject to Section 8, an employer shall not require a person to answer questions in relation to or undergo a test for a medical condition as a precondition to entering into a contract of employment or as a condition for the continuance of employment. That was passed in 2020. I'll tell you the day when it's passed. You know the day when they accused Lisa Cummings of trying to give me and that dreaded disease by coming into the Senate and they walked out, myself and a few others. That was debated that same day because they took the opportunity because they wasn't there to pass it that day and one set and bam, done. Tony Moore stayed back because she was with us and walking up, but then she stayed back. And she debated this bill, so she should know it. And we have people at many workplaces in Barbados who got fired for not taking that job. People at Sandals were forced to take it or lose their job. But this act says you can't do that. And this act was when Tony Moore was one of the people who sat down and voted for this act and that debated this act. And then when it happened, she said nothing about it. Mind you, this government put the act in place and then encourage employers to fire workers if they don't take the job. And mind you, thankfully now we have a decision that is binding on the employers and the workers now from the Employment Rights Tribunal, because I took that matter to the Employment Rights Tribunal on behalf of one of the workers at Rubis, and we won. So I see the lady ever so often. She's on this, making comments on this show. So she's there, but she won. But she won a bit late after everything has been coming up. But now there's a precedent. So if it happens again, you know that they will have to repeal this law if they want to do what they do again. Because we know, and everybody knows that the unions didn't stand up. And no, Freddie, you can testify because you corrected me the other night when I was saying the thing. It was the test. The court in Germany says that 97% unreliable. So every 9.7 out of 10 of those tests done, the result was bad, was wrong, and they were forcing people to take them. That is why we had the nurses strike, because if the nurses didn't take the job, then they were supposed to get these useless tests done every Monday. And we said no. You are muted, Freddie. I'm not hearing you.
Not only that, in terms of the uselessness of the PCR test, but it was on the basis of the PCR test that you were either quarantined or something of that nature. So when one takes all of that into consideration during the 2020, during the 2022 election, you can see what has happened as a result. Because remember, people who were in quarantine were not permitted to vote, and they were in quarantine because the PCR tests were positive. So you could imagine now if we were to take 97% of the people who were in quarantine using the same measurement that the court in Denmark used, you can see that this government would not be in office today if that had occurred. You see, the thing is, I don't want to, and at some point in time, maybe Marcy will make the provision for it, but I do want to reflect on a lot of the international positions and cases and Supreme Court rulings against the pharmaceutical industries and against the mask and against the PCR. A lot of this is out there. It's not conspiracy. Some of the highest courts have ruled on it. And I think it's time Barbadians be made aware of it, because our government has been complicit in all of this. And provisions are now being made across the world where citizens are going to start taking their governments to court and filing some serious lawsuits against them and against the pharmaceutical industries in terms of what was foisted upon us during the pandemic. But to get back to what we were talking about, Kimar, it's unfortunate, and I'm using some kind words, that workers find themselves in a position now. It would be interesting to hear from the workers. We are not hearing from the workers, Kimar. Why aren't we hearing from the workers? The workers don't need to wait for Tony Moore or Caswell Franklin, or the workers can speak for themselves as well, can they not?
Well, to be honest, there are provisions the public service which do not allow public servants to be correct on certain areas of work, I believe. So that would not be possible in that respect.
Within the context of the public service.
Right.
Mhm.
I believe that people at Caswell do a good job in representing the issues of workers. I believe the tribunal is there, usually fair in making decisions. So there are procedures in place for grievances for workers and their work, right? Um, I think
Well,
that the challenge that we have here is that there's a general fear around Barbados for speaking out, right? So people would meet you in the corners and whisper to you. They were saying, you know, trying to tell you things or whatever that is happening, because you're out there, you're public. But people fear for their work, Pastor Ferdinand, people fear for their lives. Don't forget that we sat here and say to all of Barbados and the world that we received threatening letters. Uh, some of us received letters to sue, right? So it is a risk putting yourselves up there to represent the issues. But many people in Barbados still fear. Uh, but look at it. Pedro Shepherd and Owen Bob, two teachers, contested a general election and got suspended, right? And they struggled and fighting the government to get back the money, right? They struggled so long to get put back into school, right? So let us not play naive to the fact that people are being victimized. People have been victimized. People lose work. People can't get work in Barbados if you don't sing the right hymn songs.
Let me just jump in here, please, because Kimar, you were saying that there were rules in the public service against that, and you're correct. The Code of Conduct and Ethics in the Public Service, which is the second schedule to the Public Service Act, they have repeated what were already in the general orders, and it says officers shall not A, B, contribute to any newspaper in Barbados or elsewhere on questions that can properly be called political or administrative, but may furnish articles upon subjects of general interest. All right. C, make a statement to the media or allow themselves to be interviewed on questions of public policy or on matters affecting the defense, military resources, or diplomatic relations of Barbados without proper approval of the minister concerned. D. Make public or communicate to the media or cause to be made public or to be communicated to the media or to unauthorized persons any document, papers, or information which may come into the possession of their official capacity. You also cannot give broadcast, talk, or engage in any discussion that is being broadcast on any subject that may probably be regarded as political or administrative. That means you can't go on brass tacks and identify yourself without permission from the minister. So that is why you would hear public officers coming there, but they wouldn't call their names. And you might recognize the voice, but you can't tell it is that person because the person was not identified on the radio. But sometimes public officers could be dismissed for things as simple as this. I like talking on brass tacks. If you criticize the prime minister, you can find yourself staring down before a committee. So I suspect public officers are fearful. Mind you, when Pedro Shepherd and when Bob ran, the people quoted the general orders to them. My position has been for years, and it's not been vindicated by the courts. Mind you, I represented both gentlemen, that that provision is contrary to the law. The general orders cannot say something that can prevent what the Constitution allows. But you cannot serve as a election agent, campaign worker, or anything so for a political party either. But yet still, the same people that were persecuting and prosecuting Alvin Bob and Pedro Shepherd, they had sitting down in their polling stations representing political parties. They had even teachers who ran for other political parties, but they wanted to destroy the dams. They weren't concerned about the other parties. So it was this attack on Pedro Shepherd and Alvin Bob was purely party political against the Democratic Labour Party, because the people Reverend Adley ran a teacher who was a teacher at St. Michael's School. They did nothing about them. It's only after they start quarreling at the meetings and complaining that the other civil servants, then they took the went and then charged Natalie, saying that she spoke on the platforms. But so many people spoke on platforms.
You gotta say, Caswell, you gotta say which Natalie you mean.
Murray.
Yeah.
They charge her speaking on the platform. Then, of course, by that time, the case was already won, because there's no way that you could challenge the Constitution and win. But they knew it was contrary to the Constitution, but they still went ahead and brought charges against Alvin Bob and Pedro Shepherd, hoping that some misguided committee might find them guilty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, gentlemen, our time is running down. It's 9:55. We got 5 more minutes left, and I see Rose is still there in the back room. I don't know if she's hearing me. Or Rosie, are you picking me up, Rose? If you could just give me a signal, maybe a thumbs up, and I can see if you're there, because we want to take these last couple of minutes and just hear your closing comments from you and Caswell and from Kimar. We've covered a lot of stuff tonight. Kimar, Kimar, I'll tell you, to be honest with you, when I look at some of the stuff that's happening around the country, I said it tonight. I don't know what you were able to hear, but I said it tonight. These people just don't get it. It's like you're banging your head up against a brick wall with these people that just don't get it. They don't seem to understand. And I must tell you that when I sit down and I watch Parliament I don't watch Parliament very much. That's the honest truth, and I don't watch Senate very much too because some of the foolishness that I see happening in Senate with people getting up every 5 minutes on a point of order, point of order, point of order, just trying to distract from the truth that is being expressed and spoken, And when I look at Parliament, I'm asking myself, are these big hardback adults or these little children? Like you're trying to score points. Look, it's the people's business. That's what you're in Parliament to do. Stick to the focus in Parliament and represent the people and stop all this foolish nonsense. A man is trying to talk, and you trying to shut him down. Those are childish. That is childish. And
But they're
Catherine,
instructed to do. They're instructed to do that.
but
When
then
they
they're
was in the Senate, they had a group of them that used to do it to me, and some of them were stupid enough to say to friends of mine, but no, they tell me that we gotta stop Caswell because he got away with too many things. So that delegated persons in the Senate to get up
the,
and distract me. But when I'm speaking, I got an hour to speak, and I don't get 45 minutes for all the interruptions, And then
yeah, yeah.
the president would not give me back my time. So it was all a conspiracy because they do it deliberately.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pretty
That stuff, we got to stand up against all this
childish.
stuff, Caswell. Yeah, it is very, very, very childish. Very childish. Well, listen, Rose, you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you're getting me okay, because I want to bring you in just for your closing comments. So I'm just waiting for that thumbs up from you if I get it. Um, don't know if you hear me. I can see your mic is on. You're hearing us. You're hearing us, Rose.
Yes, I'm in. I've
Okay,
been
great, great.
backstage. I've been put backstage, but I've been listening all the time to
Yes,
the great
yes, I know, I
contributions
know, I know.
and to Caswell on the workers' rights and Kimar picking up so eloquently on the lack of responsible representation or representation for the workers
Mm-hmm.
and how politicized the unions have become. Those who haven't, and that's one of the things, not speaking up and the disappointment. We call them spuddlers, with the MP whose primary task, I think, should be that of representing the workers. Um, it's not doing that. It's not doing that. Nowadays, you don't hear her speak out her PR team, her deputy, and all others speak out, but she's silent. She's busy as Kimar said, commandeering all the other committees that she's asked to chair or be part of. And the workers
Mm-hmm.
themselves should be mobilized in some way, either by withdrawal of their membership from those unions that are not representing them and going with the one that has been acting for others and
Yes,
as
yes,
Caswell has shown for them. So
yes, yes.
I have found this session tonight a very interesting one. And again, it is time
Absolutely.
for us, as I said, get out there. You're not wearing any clothes.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I love that analogy. Well, thank you so much, Rose. Really appreciate your sharing tonight. You brought back some wonderful memories for me, reflecting on that story. But I never thought of paralleling it with the government. But now that I've done it, oh my goodness, they're really naked, really naked, naked. Kimar, your closing comments, my friend.
Yeah, I was saying in the comments that Marcia was online at program, so I just wanted to give her a shout out. I heard she was doing very good, so
Yes,
just
yes.
wanted to shout out Marcia and
I'm actually going to put the link in the chat in the YouTube chat so that people can go and watch it
yeah,
because I think it'll still be on when we finish.
yeah, so shout out. Shout out to her. But yeah, I had a good chat tonight with you guys as usual. Rich Caswell was on, when I was speaking, so we could have expanded a little bit more on the issues at hand because there are so many things that could be spoken about as it relates to the representation of workers' rights. This IMF program um, will change Barbados, right? Pension increases, all of these things are going to change this country. And if the people that are there to represent for them are busy caught up playing Dixie-doodle with the government, then the workers know that they have to take decisive action and take it now. So, like I always do, and I will always say it, with the exception of workers, Unity Workers Union, all the rest of the unions have become complacent and too tight to the government to offer Barbadian workers what is best due for them. And that is why my concern now is that we have importation of labor in this country from all types of parts in the world, all types of different languages and people coming into Barbados and taking up a lot of the work and doing it for wages and salaries that are considerably lower than what they would have to pay Barbadians and creating some further bottlenecks. And unions are saying no and watching it happen. You see it, Pastor Ferdinand, every minute in newspaper.
Yes, I do.
Application for a national to fill a position. Positions that Barbadians who go to school could be filling, right? So, I mean, can't go on much further in the interest of time. So, good night to everyone, and I will see you later in the week.
Thank you so very much, Kimar. You'll see them. You'll see them on Wednesday, and we're going to be dealing with a lot more stuff, and you guys will have a lot more time in terms of sharing even more. No matter how much time we have, guys, it just seems that we don't have enough time because there's so much to cover. And it becomes very difficult, really, especially when you're going into the detailed aspects as you did tonight, Caswell, and you did tonight, Kima, and of course Rose, that emperor with his clothes, and I think someone, if I can find it during your closing comments, Caswell, I'll put it up. But please go right ahead. Your final remarks for tonight.
Thank you, Freddie. I'm noticing we only had 268 likes tonight, and right now we still have 1,000 plus people on YouTube. So I would be very grateful if you would tickle that little thing to help us attract more people to the show. That's one. Two, there was one thing I had marked that I wanted to draw the workers' attention. I'll do it now in my closing because I think it's very important. Employers are required by law to give an itemized pay statement. It says here in Section 17 of the Employment Rights Act, an employee has the right to receive from his employer at or before the time at which any payment of wages is made to him a written itemized pay statement. That's subsection 1, 17.1. 2 says the statement shall include particulars of A, gross amount of wages, B, the amounts of any variable or fixed deductions from the gross amount and the purpose of which those deductions are made, C, the net amount of wages payable, and D, the date of payment and the dates of the pay period. Why I wanted to mention this is that sometimes now employers are giving you it on, we'll call it, email. And in some employers, if they give you a company phone and they're trying to take the phone from you, so these pay slips are not on you don't have access to them. The pay slips are very important because if you are unfairly dismissed and you're weekly paid, the law requires your compensation to be calculated on the last 12 weeks of pay. And I find that many people do not have those last 12 weeks to accurately calculate how much money owed to them. Now, you got to tell the people they want money in paper, or if you want to take the easy way out, print them and keep them. They are very necessary. They come back to haunt you later. Don't tear them up. Keep them. Find a shoebox. Find something to put them in. And I'm very serious. It reaches a point where sometimes if the employer happens to be paying national insurance, then I have to go and get you to check with national insurance to find out how much money that was paid in for you so that we would know how much money you earned. Or not, the employer take advantage of you and you do not get the adequate compensation for your time, but if you have been determined to be unfairly dismissed. So either print them or tell the employer I want paper, because they are required to give you a written statement. Then tell you get an email, and then because everybody trying to save paper. I can understand that. Even the government printer trying to save paper and they don't print nothing out too. But sometimes paper is necessary. You see, if I had to research everything that I spoke to you tonight, I spoke to you about the Employment Rights Act. I spoke to you about the Employment Prevention of Discrimination Act. I spoke to you about the General Orders. I spoke to you about the Public Service Act, and I spoke to you about the Holidays Repair Act. Now, if I had to be on a computer going up and down and scrolling, I would not have been able to read these things for you tonight as easily as I did. And also then I had my own notes as well. So you see, you need to have some. It's not something you might need to have paper.
Paper, yeah.
Right. Anyhow, that said, I want to wish you all a very good night, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again on Wednesday. I'm glad to know that you were able to see that Marcy and I have not broken up, and that Wednesday that I was off was purely for recuperation. I was really tired. I was stretched out the whole day, and I went into my bed when I got home, and I couldn't get out. Yeah. So we are not. This team ain't going nowhere. Freddie, Marcia, Kimar, Maxine, me, we staying put.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're staying very put. And let me thank you. Let me thank you, Caswell. We appreciate. Yeah, I actually did. I think I did post the link, but let me see if I can do it again, because I do want to make sure people get it, where they can go and watch. I'm gonna post it again. Right, it should be right there on the chat now. Should come up. Uh, don't know why I'm not I don't know why I'm not appearing. Um, I'm seeing it appearing on YouTube. Let me see if I can get it. Let me see if I can get it into my WhatsApp, and then I'll copy it and put it into my YouTube. I mean, put it here. Let me just see if I can do that before we go off, so that you all can go right ahead and follow Marcia. She's doing exceptionally well, in terms of the here we go. Yes, here we go. All right, let me copy this and let me see if I can put it in here now. Right. Okay, there we go. It should be there now, and it's on YouTube as well. You would be able to see it there. All right. Well, we want to thank all of you for being with us tonight. It was an extremely great. It was an extremely educational show this evening, and one that was very detailed and in depth and very educational, very informative. And we really appreciate all of you staying with us and going right through the evening. Don't forget to give us that thumbs up and like. I think we got up, Caswell. I saw before I switched over just now about 200. Let me see
We have
what was
302 now.
302. That's right. 302 now. So, guys, even after we come off, you can go right on that YouTube and just give us the thumbs up, and more people will join us as a result of that. So we want to say good night. Thank you, Kimar. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Caswell, for being here again with us tonight. Thank you, loyal opposition, for staying with us right through the evening. For those of you of the Coalition of the Righteous, we are deeply appreciative of your support. Let me close by making just one little housekeeping announcement, and that is that we still need some funding to assist with the cost for the march and for the roadside parliament. And if you're able to donate any additional funding, please give us a call at 236-7000. That is 236-7000. We would appreciate so very much hearing from you and helping us to navigate past the outstanding amounts that are left for the roadside parliament and the march last Saturday. So if you're able to, just give Marcia a call, 236-7000. I'm going to put it in the chat here, and so that you can be in touch and indicate to her what you're able to donate. So thank you very much in anticipation of your support. Thank you for being with us throughout the night. Thank you, Marcia, for reminding me of my national anthem. Thank you, Dave, for the support. Again, you're in the back room giving all that tech support. We really appreciate it. And we wish you all a good night. God bless you. And we'll see you on Wednesday evening. Bye-bye.
Be safe. Be good. God bless.
Good night, all.
And I